Yeah. About halfway through my master's, I realized that I didn't want to go into academia for the rest of my life. Um, but at the same time, I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go. I just knew that I really loved being a TA. It was the most rewarding part of the whole master's experience.
Hmm.
So I thought I may as well give teaching a try. I did a bit of volunteering in London, found it to my liking, and ended up going with a kindergarten, K to 3 um, Hagwon in Seoul.
I've I finished my teaching qualification in New Zealand to teach high school. I wasn't sure if I wanted to teach, so I was working in a call center, but then I felt the need to travel, and this seemed to be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, same. I finished university and I wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was kind of just like working a job I wasn't crazy about, and I just decided to come to Korea, and it just seemed like a great opportunity.
Um, well, I mean, I knew even going into it that my my accent and my particular history with education in English put me, I thought, surprisingly ahead of most candidates trying to teach
Mhm.
in Seoul. I say surprisingly because if you've done any university English courses, it has nothing to do with what you teach a kindergartner, um, and is uh, I don't know. It was clear early on that I was there to be a native language speaker as much as I was there to be a teacher. Um, I gathered from the Korean teachers there, as well as some of the parents, that it was desirable to for the children to be around that. They had the sense that when they learned from Korean teachers, it wasn't as fluent or as fluid, I guess.
I'm very aware that I got my job because I'm from one of the 7 countries that the Korean government allows, and because I'm white.
Yeah, I think she's covered it for me as well.
Like, Koreans are very, not not all Koreans, but the people that hire teachers, they're very particular about what they're looking for. Like, if you're a young woman
Like
from
20.
Canada or
They also,
or in America, blonde, blue
yeah,
eyes,
they ask for pictures.
you could walk into any job in South Korea you wanted.
Yeah, oftentimes they would, I mean, do you think they still go on appearance? When
Yes,
I
they go
first
on
started, they
appearance.
like would go on appearance. Like you'd have to see your photo, and they were like, "Oh, very handsome," or "Oh, very beautiful," and that was like generally what they were looking for, more so than any sort of qualification.
John's, because we're leaving in a few weeks, and John's school has been looking for his replacement. And how many people applied that they rejected?
Like,
Two,
no more than that, like 7 or 8.
7 or 8
But there was,
people of South Korean descent, but have grown up in the States or in Canada applied, but were rejected purely based on the fact that they're not white.
yeah, there were two Asian looking. That was what my manager said.
I also feel quite badly for my coworkers because Koreans work very hard and they get very few holidays. But we come in, we work for a year, and then we go and off and travel for 3 months around Southeast Asia or wherever we want, and then we come back and swan into another job. But your coworkers are just kind of stuck in this grind of working forever. Uh, the only way they can leave is to completely quit, and it's not as easy for them to find another job as it is for us.
I think it can be difficult for them to quit. Like I've had coworkers, they'll put their notice in, the boss is like, "Oh, you can't leave until I find your replacement." Things like that. I don't know. I mean, they can theoretically quit, but I think it's frowned upon, and I don't know. It's just not. Well, maybe it's easier nowadays, but I don't. It was a lot more difficult for them to leave. when I first came here, at least.
I mean, I'm pretty sure my role was just to be an English language speaker that they would have to fit their understanding around. Like, they didn't have a choice. The rule was no Korean in the class, but realistically, we're the only adults in the room, and we're the ones doing the interesting things. So if they want to understand and participate like every kid does, they need to start like understanding. And it's something that happens pretty rapidly, especially with the kindergartners. So I got the sense that I was mostly just there to be a competent person who could deliver the teaching materials while also being, like nurturing and careful with kids, and also, and most importantly, just speak English all the time.
When I first came, it wasn't an issue. It was before North Korea kind of kicked off all the drama. So there was a lot of call for English teachers and not as many teachers wanting to come. But once kind of the economy went down the drain a bit in the West and more people came, I found it harder to get a job. North Americans are preferred. There are definitely schools here that will only hire Canadians or Americans. My third job, the manager didn't really want to hire me, but my friend worked there and put in a word for me. Yeah, pretty much I've got jobs through friends.
Being from America, I would say being a white male from America, it's been pretty easy here. Generally, I can show up. I mean, sometimes I'll see advertisements where they'll stipulate they want a female rather than a male. But other than that, I've had no difficulties. I can pretty much, I want to say I can pick and choose, but I've had an easier time for finding jobs because I'm from America, and that seems to be what they want, is the North American accent.
It's changed. I'm not sure if the actual job has changed me, but just living in a huge city has changed me. I find that I don't feel at home so much in New Zealand anymore. Such a small place.
I think having traveled has definitely changed me. Having gone to India and seeing the poverty there has made me, I don't know, I try to be less selfish, less of a prick at work about things that I would get really upset about when I lived in the States.
I guess I'm more confident now, like especially with public speaking, things like that.
Yeah, I get nervous when I start a new job teaching, but I feel like having done this experience, I believe it might be rough in the beginning, but the longer it goes on, the better I can get. And I just need to be organized and calm and not panic so much. So I guess that. Yeah.
I mean, you get thrown in head first. So I honestly think that someone who has had a bit more theoretical training in teaching would get more out of the experience than I did, or at least would get more sooner out of the experience than I did. Like I said earlier, it's a tremendous, you get a tremendous amount of freedom within the confines of the classroom and the workbooks. As long as the work gets done, so it can be sent home, how you put that information into their brains is up to you. Like, marker, you bring props, you can really, I think, work on your style of presentation, which, I mean, even I didn't end up going into teaching, but being able to speak in front of a classroom is, I think, the first step to good public speaking, and engaging, being able to engage while you speak publicly. As far as Korea hacks. You'll figure it out. I mentioned that not a lot of people speak a lot of English, but at least in Seoul and Busan, the larger cities, everything's bilingual on signage, so you can get where you need to go. Okay. My one big tip would be make use of your weekends. Don't let the exhaustion of like learning to be a foreign language speaker in Korea and working 9 to 5 or often more hours beat you down. Take advantage of them. There's always, especially in the larger cities, opportunities to take day trips across the country. It's a relatively small country, so it's easy to do. There are, castles and temples and mountains. Oh my! Like, get to love Korea, because that's how you're going to stay sane.